Dear colleagues, dear friends, welcome again to the second appointment of Villa Vigoni European Dialogues, a digital talk that we had launched last week to discuss the most urgent issues at stake between Italy and Germany. Of course, as everybody knows, these days the topic that we read in the newspapers are the Eurobond, and in particular the financial instruments the European Union could put at disposal to help member states in crisis. So I'm very glad to be here today with our friend and partner Federico Fabbrini. Federico Fabbrini is director of the Brexit Institute at the Dublin City University. Since many years we cooperate with Federico, so we are very happy to have him today with us. Federico, may I ask you how, in your view, which are the instruments at disposal today in order for the European Union to help Italy and other European member states in crisis?
There are many ways in which the European Union can deal with this crisis. To begin with, the European Union should protect its achievements. For example, the EU should make sure that the internal market continues to function properly and that states do not set up controls at their borders that prevent the freeze as it happened actually between Italy and Austria. Or at the same time, the European Union should work hard to make sure that member states do not abuse the coronavirus crisis to renege on their obligation to respect democracy and the rule of law, as it is happening these days, particularly in Hungary. But on top of all these, of course, the European Union can also deploy new instruments of an economic nature to help countries which are facing a severe health crisis and that will be facing, as a result of this, also a severe economic crisis down the road.
And in your view, which are the most pertinent instruments to face this crisis?
The European Union arrives from an economic point of view to this crisis with the need to develop new rules. A decade ago, the EU had responded to the so-called euro crisis by creating mechanisms like the European Stability Mechanism, which were designed to help countries facing an asymmetric economic shock. Clearly, the situation here is different, and therefore new thinking is necessary. It is obvious from the political debates that have taken place in the last 2 weeks that two conflicting visions are at play. And in a way, both of them are unreasonable. On the one side, some countries, particularly in the south of Europe, have been calling for mutualization of debts to deal with the crisis, a position which is clearly unacceptable for the North. But at the same time, Northern countries have also been put solutions which are not acceptable for the South, and indeed they're not reasonable themselves, like using the European Stability Mechanism, which is an intergovernmental institution designed to deal with fiscal crises, which are the own making of states themselves. Clearly, we need to move beyond the status quo in dealing with this crisis, and ideas such as those put forward recently by the Commission for a European unemployment insurance scheme, the so-called SURE, even ideas to create new funds to raise the resources to deal with the crisis, so-called Corona bonds initiatives, ought to be explored in the future. But the time is short, and Europe needs to take action quickly.
And so on Tuesday, the Eurogroup should launch its proposal to find proper solutions. Do you think a compromise between Italy and Germany will be feasible?
It is essential that founding member states of the European Union continue to work to find a European solution to this crisis. The EU was very united in dealing with the latest crisis, namely Brexit, the decision of the United Kingdom to leave the European Union. And just a few months after the withdrawal of the UK, the EU is now facing a huge crisis that could potentially threaten the unity of the 27. If this is to be avoided, it's crucial that the Eurogroup next week finds the courage to move beyond the current status quo and develop initiatives that are able to address the crisis and maintain the unity of the 27.
And last question, Federico, do you think the coronavirus is the opportunity finally to relaunch the European project?
It is certainly an opportunity to do so with leadership and with the right initiative. We should not forget that 3 years ago in Rome, the member states celebrated the anniversary of the founding treaties of the European Economic Community, and on that occasion, a number of other initiatives, such as the Rome Manifesto, coordinated by Vigoni, was produced. And on those occasions, both policymakers and civil society identified the need to relaunch the project of European integration. Funnily enough, just before the coronavirus crisis exploded, the EU institutions and the member states had found consensus on the idea of establishing a conference on the future, which was designed to rethink the institutional architecture of the EU and the powers of the supranational authorities in the years ahead. The coronavirus makes all this even more necessary than it was before, and I think it's crucial that both society and policymakers who believe in the project of integration continue to fight hard at this very moment to make that become a success.
Thank you, Federico, for this very optimistic perspective. We are very looking forward to welcome you again at Villa Vigoni very soon, when we recover, of course, from this very bad situation. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Bye bye.